Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Janki Foundation and joint program with Brahma Kumari's series of events on embracing isolation. Today's topic is empowering and implementing your choices. And I'd like to especially welcome back everyone who has been with us for the last 3 sessions from December through to now. As usual, this session will be recorded, and so it will be available on Facebook, on the Janki Foundation page, and also via the Janki Foundation website. And also, it will be made available on the Global Corporation for a Better World, Brahma Kumari's website also. So we will give you those details at the end. We will be keeping your mics muted, and so we would like you to stay muted, but would really like to hear from you in terms of perhaps posting your comments, thoughts, or anything you'd like to share on chat. For those of you who've been with us, you know that you may recall that we have already taken a look at the whole topic of isolation from the perspective of loneliness as well as isolation. That loneliness has become such a pertinent topic these days, but it has already been globally, or at least in many countries, a very important source of dysphoria in recent years and decades. And so this topic has already been looked at by many different groups in the community, and we did signpost you to a couple of really helpful websites with tips and ideas on how to manage time alone and reassurance, really, which I thought was extremely nice. And I particularly liked the Campaign for Ending Loneliness website with its up-to-date resources and information on social projects as well as psychological aspects of loneliness. So I think today what we want to do is really focus a lot more on combating loneliness through looking at psychological methods. We have already taken an overview of some of the social ideas, you know, an overview of what actions we can take to improve our physical health, improve our mental health, and keep up a routine, and therefore keep ourselves occupied, and therefore not focusing on negativities. And last time in particular, we flagged up several spiritual tools and strengths, if you like, character strengths, things that we can really access ourselves and build on to make surviving times of isolation much more positive and much more fun. So today we will be looking more from the perspective of psychology, which is a special interest of mine. So my name is Mistry, and I work as a psychiatrist in the community. My co-presenters today will include Maggie Powell, who is a retired hospital social worker, and she talked to us last time about keeping an active schedule even in retirement. And then I will also be joined by Suja Chandran, and Suja is currently working as a hospital social worker and educator, and she talked to us about some of the social projects and dimensions in recent years. I'll also be joined by Sharon O'Regan today, and Sharon has talked to us about movement and making things fun rather than letting things drag you down, and the importance of movement and health. And I'll also be joined by Dr. Meena Bobde, and Meena Bobde is a psychiatrist, and she has given us some information overviewing isolation, loneliness, and how it's a huge problem even for young people today, and some thoughts on that. And then finally, well, in fact, first, we will be joined by Astrid Bendamir. And Dr. Astrid Bendamir is an occupational health physician and surgeon by training. And Astrid has spoken to us of the importance of this time for self-care, self-reflection, and taking action. And so today we will be focusing a lot more on being kind to ourselves. And we invite you to come on a journey with us of making some important reflections and perhaps choosing to take action. So if you do have some paper and pencils available, that will be great. And we're just going to all say bye and see you later. And I'm going to invite Astrid to come and take us through the first part of our session today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kara, for this introduction, and thank you for everybody for being here. Today, particularly looking back at self-isolation and the loneliness that many have been experiencing over the past year, because it's now a year since the pandemic started. It is very clear that many have actually had very difficult times and have also had tragedies in their own families. And it's very easy to actually reflect those difficulties and those challenging times to the self. So from that point of view, I really wanted to speak about a term called self-compassion that was initially defined and measured by a psychologist called Kirsten Neff, who described self-compassion as a kindness towards the self, meaning a way of being gentle and supportive and understanding towards the self, even at times when we struggle, even at times when things are not going well and when things are difficult. And it's really that concept that it is to understand and to say to oneself, yes, this is a difficult time, and yes, I'm struggling. But at the same time, really to think about how I would actually speak to a child or to a good friend who is going through this difficult time, and how I can actually use the way I would support somebody with my own self. But it also brings in this aspect of common humanity, to understand that and recognize that suffering and personal failure is part of a shared human experience. This means that we need to remember that we are not alone in this. Whatever we are feeling, whatever thoughts we are having, many millions have had this before. And it's not making it less, but it means that life is not perfect. People are not perfect. And so it's really about finding ways to actually change that feeling of failure, that feeling of suffering, into something positive. And the term self-compassion really was started from the Buddhist tradition, really, about mindfulness. And so to be actually aware of our thoughts and our feelings and what's going on inside ourselves, and to actually see our negative emotions, our negative feelings, and not to suppress them, but to listen to them with an open heart, with kindness, with support, with love. It's almost a state of observing oneself. And it's almost like having the awareness that I'm outside just watching for what's happening to myself. And we will all know that difficulties come and difficulties go. And it's about finding solutions to it. What are the benefits? Well, research has consistently shown that there's a positive correlation between self-compassion and psychological self well-being. People who have self-compassion, which means that they treat themselves in a kind and positive way, tend to have much greater social connectedness and emotional intelligence. They are much happier and more satisfied with their own lives. Self-compassion really stands for a healthy self-esteem, and it actually encourages our resilience to provide a stable sense of self, and understand that things don't always go well in life, but a bad day will turn into a good day. And that when I'm actually aware of what's going on inside, rather than feeling a victim and feeling the difficulty, I can actually allow myself to get unstuck and to move and start caring for myself, giving me that resilience so that I can actually deal with the situation in a measured way. And I always remember my mother telling me one thing, you know, when there's difficulties in life, just pack the bull by the horns and go with it. Same other ways, if just dance with the situation, just embrace it. I always remember the story of Zopek, a runner who didn't look very athletic, and who was always told, always listed up for the next run. And they asked him, what do you do when you hit the wall? You know, when your legs feel like lead, when your liver is hurting, what do you do? He said, well, I just embrace the wall and keep running. And I think this aspect of self-compassion just tells us that things are not always easy and light and don't always turn fine, but there are things that we can do to move out of it. And so in a way, I want to invite you to think about, you know, what is it that you're struggling with at this present time? Just think about it for a minute. And there might be many, many things, but just pick one of the things you're struggling with at the present time. And now just be kind to yourself. Take a nice deep breath. And recognize that these are things that are happening to you, but are happening to others at the same time. It is okay. It is okay to struggle. Become light inside. Become the observer of whatever's happening in your life just now. Take another deep breath and feel light, like a leaf in the wind. What is it that you want to hold on at this time? What is it that you can let go? And give yourself permission to stay light and stay happy. Thank you.
So thank you, Astrid, for that lovely reflection, taking us into a space of being calm and light, and ready to perhaps think about things without taking things heavily. I'd like to now request Dr. Bob Day to share some thoughts on memories, as this was a question posed to us early in the series. How do we access positive memories? And Dr. Bob Day is going to clarify how we create positive memories, as it's not always that easy to access the past, but it may be possible to create something new in the present. So thank you.
Thank you, Kala. And thank you, everybody, for giving me the opportunity again to be with you and share some of my thoughts. So, Astrid, that was really beautiful, the reflection. It was really helpful to me as well. If I can get my slides on, so I'm mainly going to talk about memories. What are the positive memories, negative memories, and the bias we learn to develop. So the first slide talks about what kind of memories we have. We create positive, and if you can move on the slide, Prithiben, please. So we create various types of memories. Some memories are positive, some memories not so positive, kind of negative memories. So positive memories are the times where we have been happy. Think of the times where you've been happy, you've been like a child, very joyous, very inspired by something, moved by something. You listened to something, you heard somebody, and you really got moved from within. You met somebody and you felt related. You did something and you were acknowledged. Those were the times, the memories which you created are called positive memories. You felt belonged. You went somewhere and you felt you belonged there. That's a part of the positive memory. Thank you, Prithiben. You can go to the slide number 3, Prithiben. That'll be good. The next one, please. So the positive memories are when you, as I was saying, when you have felt belonged, when you felt very joyous from inside. Those are the memories, if we collect, that helps when you are being lonely, or when you don't have anybody to be with or to depend on. You can live on those positive memories, recollecting them and recollecting those events, and again getting involved in the activities which are going to create more positive memories is a way to be happy and be at peace. Opposite of that is, what is negative memory? Next slide, please. So the negative memories are the memories where you felt opposite of feeling positive. You felt very unhappy. You felt ignored. You felt bullied in that, maybe it's school, maybe at work. You felt harassed. You were scolded. In the group, you felt unwanted. You felt left out. You were wounded. You felt ashamed, or you felt very sad or scared. Those are the times which are the time where you have a memory, and those are the negative memories. Brain handles the positive and negative memories very differently. Human being, as a rule, kind of takes the positive memory for granted and we don't relive it. Think of in your own life when you had dealt with, or since morning also, when you dealt with lots of things which are happening in your ways, which have been really joyous, happy moments, but you'll be just kind of taking them for granted. And one thing which didn't happen, how many times will you be irritated with that? How many times will we keep reliving? If something didn't work, we would think about it, we will share with somebody, and when we are sharing, we are reliving it. When we are thinking, we are reliving it. So the brain has a tendency to relive and handle the negative memory again and again. And that is why the brain has a bias towards the negative memory. And we have a choice of being miserable, and we want to be negative. That's the natural human brain's tendency. So that is why there's a huge psychological concept called negative bias. Everybody does it. And that is why it's so crucial that we come out of that and we consciously do and create positive memories. So if you can go back to the further slides, what are the ways of creating positive memories? Being happy, being at peaceful, and the moment you felt that, you relive it and you share with others, making actually events where you are creating some more positive memories. So if you enjoyed a movie, you're sharing and talking about that movie to somebody. You enjoy a piece of music, you're listening to it and you're being joyous, experiencing that. For day to day events, or even if you're walking in the nature, you brought nature and the music home, reliving those moments again. And if you found something positive and you're not sharing once, you're sharing again and again and again. So you are getting into the habit of sharing positive events again and again. Surround yourself with people who are more positive, who can do such a thing, who can create positive memories for you, and who share positive memories with each other. Change your lifestyle. So ensure you have a good routine which helps you create more positive memories, which gives you time to create positive memories. Making difference in others' lives, contributing. When you contribute in others' life, there's a lot of peace and joy which you collect and you relive it. If you relive that contribution, the multiplication increases the positive memories. So that part of making a difference in others' life and contributing has immense benefit. It benefits others, but it benefits multiple time to yourselves. And be creative. We're going to share about how you can be creative and create more positive memories. So we all human beings have a tendency to create negative memories and negative bias. To overcome that, if we change the way we think and if we change the way and challenge the thoughts. So all of you must have heard of a principle called cognitive behavior therapy, which has got three main principles to it. How our feelings can change by indulging into positive behavior and by learning to challenge the negative thoughts or the negative distortions we have, the cognitive distortions. How can you challenge them and you replace them with the positive ones? So that's a part of a cognitive behavior therapy, really helps. Also, it helps, as I said, to attend such kind of events or any other events where you're going to collect some more positive memories and then relive it and share again. So that's very crucial way of collecting the positive memories. That's all I wanted to say about how we can create more positive memories. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Well, thank you very much. It's on, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you very much, Mina. That was really interesting, and that actually that's a really good precursor for what I'm going to talk about. I want to talk about this idea about being creative. The idea, often people equate being creative with making fine art. And they think to themselves, well, how I can't possibly be creative. I was never good at drawing. I was never good at stuff like that. I might have done it at school, and I haven't done it since I've left school, and even then I wasn't very good at it. But what I want to say to you is that you don't have to be Leonardo. You don't have to be one of the great artists to create art. You can make all kinds of wonderful art in many different ways. But the most important thing is that the fact that you decide you want to do something creative. This is the starting point, and you can begin to look at how you can create. Now, I'm thinking of really simplistic, I'm going to talk about really simplistic things, but I think it's best to start like that. If you've never been to art school, or you haven't attended classes and you want to create something beautiful, if you go for a walk, for example, in nature, you've already entered a different place. You're in a beautiful place, and you can find beautiful things everywhere. For example, I've picked up these twigs and this lovely piece of tree this morning when I was walking. Now, also you can see other nice things like, these lovely fir cones, which I picked up. I live in Oxford. We've got lots of forests around us, but you might be able to go to your local park, somewhere like that. And then, there's this beautiful piece of bark, which was underneath a tree. I didn't pull it off a tree. I wouldn't hurt a tree, but you know, you can pick up beautiful things on the ground. And of course you've got you know, nice stones, and when if you're near a beach, or you used to go to beaches, I'm sure you picked up shells. Everybody does this kind of thing. Now, what you could do is you could arrange things that you might find on your walk on a window ledge, or you might decide that oh well, I like this beautiful piece of tree which I found, and you might think, well, I'm not very good at drawing, but you could put some paint on it, or even you could use coffee. A lot of people paint with coffee, you know. You could make some strong coffee, and you could dip the thing in it and just splash it on a nice piece of paper, and then when it dries, you could start to draw around it. You can embellish it. You can put the other things on it even, and then when you get bored with that, well, you can rearrange it, or you can get some new things. So what I want to say is that art or creativity doesn't have to be something which is fine. What it needs to be for you is what you enjoy. Now, other things you could do, you could say you've got a whole load of photo albums on your, I've got one on my bookcase. I never look at the photos anymore. People don't, they use their mobile phone. Well, why not take a lot of the photos out of that album, cut them out and put them on, make a nice collage of them and put them on the wall? Or if you don't want to do things like that, you can say to yourself, well, I'd like to draw, I'd like to paint. If you go onto YouTube, there's my favorite man in the whole world. His name's Bob Ross, and you can paint along with Bob Ross on YouTube or on the BBC iPlayer. And what he actually died he died about 20 years ago, so I just worship him from afar, if you like. But what he does is he takes a canvas, and he'll very carefully go through the process of creating a landscape. And he tells you at the beginning of the program, they show you the paint colors you're going to use, and then you can just follow along and do what he's doing, and it's a lovely experience. And I tell you, if you don't want to paint along with Bob, you can just sit and watch. You can watch him create a beautiful landscape, and it lifts the spirits to feel part of this creative process. So what I'm saying to you is, let go of the idea that you have to know how to paint and draw. Keep your options and your ideas open, and let yourself go. Give yourself permission to run riot through nature, collect things and make nice things. And if you're inside on a rainy, wet, miserable day, you can look at the nice things you've collected, or you can even look through nice books and you can copy. There's nothing wrong with copying. I like to paint things like tigers and lions. There's one behind me, but I can't have a lion or a tiger in here. I get a picture, and then I copy from the picture. So I just like to say, enjoy the creative process, and don't be worried about the fact that you think you can't paint or draw. Just let yourself go and enjoy it. And I understand from what Nina's said that this changes your brain pattern or your thinking patterns, and the lifting of your mood, the absorption in the process of putting this together, your appreciation afterwards of what you've created. And even if you want to take a picture of it on your phone and send it to friends, all of this will reinforce the positive feelings about the self and about enjoying this process. So have a go. Oh, one last thing. I Googled the other day, how can I paint the beach and a wave? I just Googled it, and there are about 20 classes that came up with different wonderful artists, free. You put free, and all these different artists show you different ways to paint beaches and waves, and you can do trees or flowers or anything else. So have a go and enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. That was so beautifully said. I almost could see myself in nature. And one of the good things about that kind of visual depiction was really, because you then bring in nature into your life, isn't it? And you're not sitting with your thoughts. And I am, I think as a day job, my day job is as a social worker in a hospital, in a busy hospital. But I really love gardening, and being outdoors have always been a great blessing. And I remember the times when a few years ago, when I felt particularly going through difficult emotions and isolation. I remember thinking, I'm going to plant a few trees. And I think many years afterwards, I enjoy the trees now. But at that point of time, it was a great inspiration. And I think today, for the next few minutes, I really want to share my experience on working with clay. So clay as a medium is very, it's very malleable, it's very accepting, it's very forgiving. So, you can mold things. It's a very tactile experience when you work with clay. And what I have noticed is that as we kind of are sometimes in our head space with lots of thoughts, so we generate so many thoughts. And I think when we are in a caring profession, or when we are going through times of isolation, our thinking level does escalate to a certain level, which we wouldn't want it to be. And sometimes it's difficult to unwind. So while, I've been a meditator for many years, but when I experienced that sense of deep isolation and loneliness, I think I had knowledge, and I knew meditation is good. I had an experiential aspect of that. But there were times when I needed something like a medium to be able to do things that were really valuable for myself, that was really good in terms of well-being. And I did find pottery around that time. And I didn't think about it much. It's only later on I realized the connection of the fact that what Maggie just said, and I think what Meena said in terms of how it's connected to our brain in terms of, creating good memories, creating form out of nothing. So I just want to show you something. So this was something I had created as a vase because I was just interested in nature. And I thought, oh, let me just do something in green. And I remember as I was creating it, I also kind of just slit it. And I don't know why I did that. I didn't ask the question, but I just went ahead and continued to decorate it and just accepted the whole process. So probably there was a few things going on in my head at that time. But because of the fact that it was something tactile, I was creating, I was molding, and I was really involved in it, I wasn't thinking as much. And by the end of it, I got a product which probably I didn't think this is what I'm going to achieve, but I quite like it. And, now, I like it. At that point of time, it was different, and it looks nice, isn't it? I can put a rose, I can put some flowers, and I have a vase, which I thought was really something very useful. And also, but at that time, I remember thinking, oh, what was that afterwards? And there was a lot of thinking process. But I think the thing about creativity is that there is nothing right or wrong. You just express yourself at that moment. You create something, and then it's there. It adds value over a period of time. Another one which I would like to show you was a box that I created out of clay. And I just, I remember when I wanted to make the box, it had to be all perfect. It was just this whole feeling of being in a very bureaucratic structure. There's no movement possible to get out of your, the very kind of linear structure. And so the box kind of resembled that in some ways. But I remember when I was doing the glazing of it, I felt that maybe let me try and get the universe into the box, because that's possible, isn't it? There is a possibility that even if you feel trapped, you can still feel connected to the world. There is still a part of you which is very infinite, which is very creative, which is very connected. And so I kind of thought of getting that in as well. And I remember I kept this away for a long time, and all these things have come out because of this program, because we were talking. I thought, let me see what I could go. And that's nice. And, you know, it's always nice to keep some nice blessings so I can enjoy it, look at it in some ways of a time gone by, and something now that I've created, and I can look at it and I can say, oh, that's a nice blessing for me. So the blessing today is calm. I'm calm and steady in every situation, like a rock in a storm. So so that's, I thought it'd be nice for me to share. So these are very amateur pieces, but I enjoyed the process. I think there was a part of me which got awakened, which I didn't know existed at all. I had never done anything on clay before, but it felt somewhere that helped me just contain myself, be in the moment. And in some ways, my inner self was expressed. And I got access to that part of my psyche that I didn't have access to. So it does have, I think art has a transformational potential. And I would really want all the adult education centers to have more art-based stuff for people, especially coming out of lockdown. Do watch The Great Pottery Throwdown in Channel 4, which I've been enjoying, and Gardener's World, of course, in BBC. Thank you.
Thank you, Suja. That was really beautiful. I love the vase. It's so beautiful. Really, really beautiful. So I wanted to share some of the other art ideas which I have been involved. So during this lockdown, it really has helped me to bring artists in mind. And I've done various types of art, but over the many years, I have been doing collaging. And I've been also taking workshops, distressing with collaging. So I was going through a very difficult dilemma currently, working with health services and working with Ministry of Defense. I wanted to also take a break and work on my relationship with money. That's the Indian currency notes. So I kind of worked through a collage, as you can see. So the way of collaging helps with something which you are thinking, which you are working on. So my current dilemma was reduction of work and doing more creative things and living the life I always wanted. Mixture of some luxury, but also friendship, nature, travel, some creative sport, and relationship, and lots of peaceful time. So collage is a one way of taking a theme which you are dealing with, tear some pictures from the magazines and create them in the way you want. So I've also wanted to work on my fitness, and my fitness has really immensely increased during this lockdown times. I've been really religiously doing yoga and have started running as well, which I never thought I could run. And now I can run without stop for a whole kilometer. So I don't take a break for a whole kilometer, which is a really achievement for me. So collage is one form of art. I've also done various other forms of art during this lockdown. So this is a Madhubani painting. Madhubani is where from Lord Krishna came from. And so I learned that during this lockdown. And this is another form of Varli painting, which I learned. So this is Lord Ganesha. So Varli is a folk art from India. So those are the various types of things which one could indulge into. Another form of art which is really very useful to work with stress is Mandala art. So you can interestingly keep on doing the pattern. It helps reducing the stress. It helps you forming more positive memories. Now, how do you do all this? Like, you want to be fit, you want to be walking in the nature, you want to be doing some artwork. Very crucial to have a daily routine to indulge in yourself. You are the priority for yourself. And to do that and giving yourself a priority, what helps is having a simple routine. But having a routine helps you get into things which you want to do. And there's an immense number of research and lots of studies have been done. It helps with mental health as well. And it also helps with keeping well physically and mentally and socially connected as well. So if you have a routine, then you know what you're going to do. You are going to be making space for your physical fitness, your creativity, and collecting positive memories. So that's what I wanted to share. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Mina. I'm so impressed, brava, by all the movement and exercise you've been up to. So Calla invited me along because she actually wanted me to talk about my routine. Mina mentioned how important it is to have a daily routine. So mine is a little bit of a ritual. So it actually starts before I get out of bed. So I start with intention and just think, what intention do I want to bring into my day today? Who do I want to be today? What quality do I want to have in my life? Is it joy today? And so I've also got these words. So you might be able to see this one. It says creativity, but you can make your own. They're evocative words, and you can put them around the house, different words, balance, group endeavor, whatever you're working on. Perhaps you're working with lots of people, so group endeavor would be a good one. So that's the evocative words. And the intention I've told you about. The other thing is, before I get out of bed, I acknowledge the physical body and the organs. So I might say, thank you, spleen. Good morning, liver. Thanks for doing such a good job. And now I'm saying thank you to my lungs as well. So being really grateful for this chariot that's, helping me to do everything that I do in daily life. I also have a routine of drinking 2 mugs of hot water, the Ayurvedic principle of having lemon juice in hot water. And I also make a big pot of tea with fresh grated turmeric and fresh grated ginger as well. And that's all before my breakfast. And then it's time for my daily spiritual practice, which I have a spiritual class and meditation. And then it's time for movement. And I normally do a little bit of Qigong or yoga. And my breakfast is another ritual. I make my bread and my own bread, and I also make my porridge very mindfully and supercharging it with positivity as I go. So really trying to be in the present moment. And as I stir it, just wondering who was responsible for bringing the oats to me. So really being in the present moment when I'm cooking, where is my consciousness at that given time? And well, this morning I had a great time communicating with the birds that came past my window. There were 3 magpies, a crow, and 1 bluetit entertained me for minutes because he couldn't see where the chirping was coming from. Well, it was me. And he went from the tree to the aerial right next to my window, so he was getting closer. And then he actually looked down the chimney pot just to see where this whistling was coming from. So I was very entertained. And then the other thing is, although I do like my own company and love my oneliness, I'm also very grateful for all the organizations that I've discovered in the last 10 months. So I am an only child, and at the moment, my social experience far exceeds my social expectation. So being an only child, I was always very used to my own company, but I've made so many different friends and groups of people over the last 10 months, and some of them are in the United States. So I think it's really important being connected as well. And I think that's probably me really in a nutshell on my daily routine. And it's never boring. So a daily plan works for me, and I know we're all different, but maybe give it a try if you don't already. See you later, and thank you for listening. Bye.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon. That was fantastic, really inspiring. And I think everybody should just start thinking about what is it, how they want to structure the day. Because obviously those people who actually structure the day and have a certain routine actually do much better, even when they are on their own. I have many of my patients who have to go into isolation for weeks on end, and those who keep a structure and a routine actually do quite well. It is quite good. And actually looking at what we've heard about in today's session, but also over the past 3 sessions, I think we have actually built a wealth of knowledge, of understanding, encouragement, and I feel deep gratitude actually for all the experiences and everything that we've learned. And yet we are maybe on our own, we are alone. And so, but it's just maybe a physical aloneness. Are we feeling alone inside? Now, if I was on an island, I would like to build a bridge. And so we've had a lot of examples of bridges that we can build. So looking at yourself, think about what bridges you would like to build. Is it a bridge of maybe communicating with somebody more often? Is it a bridge towards your inner self that you might explore through creativity? Is it a bridge of creating something new and sharing that with others? And so bridges can take many, many different forms. So I invite you just to think about what bridges do you want to build? What actions you want to take? What thoughts you want to get into your mind in a day-to-day. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Astrid, for that reflection point. Thank you to all our presenters for showing us a myriad of ways that we can engage ourselves in activities using positive intention and really using something that we feel tuned into for the day. And as people have mentioned, people who keep a routine actually cope much better with shielding and isolation than if we just kind of go, oh, I've got another day in front of me. So it's really great to hear and know about people's artistic inclinations. Actually, I did a collage. It was a little while ago, just before lockdown, but I thought I'd just show you. Very simple. It says, let's do it. And what's amazing about a collage is you're just kind of giving yourself a question and thinking, what fits with that theme? And all the things I came up from magazines were not things you'd think you'd normally associate with working on doing things, but I had to have pictures on top of pictures. I had to have different colors and lots of kind of symbols of wisdom and depth, really. And you can see underneath the fish, there's, don't know if you can see it, there's a solar system, there's a planet. And so I had to think, what does this all mean? And I made a few notes. And so a collage doesn't have to be just getting pictures, getting normal pictures. It could be something that has meaning to you. And I know that when I did this, I thought, okay, so there's such a strong emphasis on, I love the fish magazine with lots of different colored, brightly colored fishes. And I felt intuitively that these were about different qualities that I wanted to weave into my everyday life to inspire me to do the thing I wanted to do. So I think art and collage, dance, movement, they all have such an important role to play in self-discovery, but also in looking after ourselves. So let me invite Sharon back now to take us through some movement, and just also to remind you that it's fun. It's doing this is fun, and it does bring out the positive bias that Dr. Mina mentioned earlier, rather than the kind of getting stuck in things that bring us down. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So if you're not already standing, I invite you, if it's available to you, to perhaps stand, because when you stand, that's already changing the energy. So we want to have energy, but it's quite late in the day at the moment, so we don't want to maybe not sleep at all tonight. So let's do something a little bit relaxing. So we'll start with a spinal cord stretch. So breathing in and forming fists, breathing in and looking up at the ceiling, breathing in and breathing out. And again, breathing in, your chest is pointing to the ceiling, and breathing out. Nice big inhale through the nostrils, and out through the mouth. Inhale, and exhale. This is also relaxing the body, relaxing the mind. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And now we're just going to take it to the side. So we're going to breathe in and come back to the center. Exhale the breath through the mouth. And the other side. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in. Exhale to center. And the other side. And now we're going to stretch up. Picking cherries, this one is called. So what we're doing here, this is actually very good if you've been sitting down all day. It's stretching out the lower lumbar region. So breathing in and breathing out, picking cherries. Nice stretch on the side ribs. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And another one, if you have any worry, just imagine that you're in the sea or a swimming pool, and we're just flowing, going with the flow, breathing in. You can imagine it's a really thick sea, perhaps like the Dead Sea in Israel. Really flowing through, breathing in, just relax into it. Tailbone tucked under. Breathing in and breathing out, and smile. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Coming to center, and this is spreading your wings. So spreading your wings, and the fingers are pointing up towards the ceiling. Again, tailbone tucked under, and just turn the head to one side. Breathing in, and you can feel that lovely stretch on the other side, especially good if you're using telephones or mobile phones. Gosh, telephones sound awfully old-fashioned. Mobiles. Breathing in, and to center, back to the side and to the back, center, bringing it over now to the other side for a nice stretch. Breathing in and exhale through the mouth. Inhale and exhale. Down to center, over to the side and back, and center, and very gently bring the head up to center. Legs together, we'll do something for focus. So we've got one palm, which is just at the lower abdomen, the dantian in Qigong, where we hold all the energy. And what we're going to do with the other hand, we're going to bring it up as we inhale and bring it down on top of the other hand. This is for focus, very good if you're taking any exams or studying. And again, nice big inhale and exhale. Nice big inhale and exhale. We're bringing all the energy back down into the lower dantian. Placing both of the hands over the lower abdomen. And just think about the feet. Slightly back on the heels. Tailbone tucked under. Breathing in, breathing out. Imagine you've got roots growing from the bottoms of your soles to the center of the earth, grounding you. And you're taking all that lovely earth energy, recycling, new energy, breathing in, breathing out, and just sway a little bit, bamboo in the wind, getting your balance. Breathing in and breathing out. And just say silently to yourself, today is the first day of the rest of my life. And thank yourself for showing up. Thank you. Good love. Big love.
Thank you for that, Sharon. That's wonderful. I feel stretched and refreshed. So at this point, I would like to just to build on what we've already been working on, creating positive memories. I thought I would share a few thoughts on creating positive thoughts. So if you're all sitting down, we're going to have a brief PowerPoint presentation. And really the point today is that it's so much easier to create positive thoughts if you're either feeling more positive or if you are actually focusing on creating the right kind of positive thoughts. So I thought to myself, what is effective positive thinking? So it's very clearly we think about thinking positively when we're somewhat feeling negative. Perhaps the feelings are down, or perhaps the thoughts are a bit negative, thoughts such as I can't cope, or I don't know if I can do this. And so we're often trying to think positive when we're faced with a difficult situation. But I think point number one is positive thinking has to be realistic. And to think positively in a way in which we just negate something that's happened that is quite difficult for us, it is not sustainable. It's not true. So for example, to counter a loss, we might say, no, I haven't really lost that, or I haven't really lost that person. Or as we know, some people have been saying COVID-19 isn't real. So this is a kind of real example from today, from current times. And of course, you know, it can be distressing to people. And so these thoughts give a kind of temporary false sense of security. They give a sense of calm. And that's probably why people do it. And one of the first stages of dealing with loss is to say to yourself, I don't believe it, you know, it can't be true. And of course, for some people, they just say, no, it's not happened at all. But usually that's a temporary thing. Before the person is ready to see what is really happening. And so I'm going to say that if we are creating positive thoughts and we find ourselves thinking something that's just totally unrealistic, just be aware that it's a temporary thing, and it won't actually be empowering or enhancing. So what we really want to do, which is moving on to the next slide, is be realistic, and we can also be uplifting. So the first step is to say it's true, it is real. So COVID-19 is real, whatever that means to people. And that would have been true probably, you know, throughout the ages. Some people would not have believed something until they saw it with their own eyes. But then we have to temper that acknowledgement by saying it is a challenge. Now, if we can find positive ways of looking at challenges, so for example, a challenge is an opportunity. A challenge, there will be something positive in whatever is going on. Then these kinds of attitudes, so that's either looking for the silver lining in the cloud, that kind of attitude, or just seeing that whatever is happening in my life now is an opportunity for growth. And often when we do look at situations from a spiritual perspective rather than from a temporary perspective of what we have or what we don't have, then it does allow us to see that there may be something for me to learn, something for me to grow into. And I was watching a couple of videos on BBC News today and seeing how people have created positive things in adversity, you know, clubbed together and made something happen. Or somebody has, you know, for example, joined a group of people helping others in the same situation that he found himself. So found himself feeling not that great when lockdown happened and having to stay indoors. And in the end went out, found a group that were trying to reach out to others and started to be part of the help himself. And so of course these things make us feel so much more connected with our communities, but also they're using our abilities. So positive thoughts can be, for example, I can cope, or we can cope, and we will find ways to cope positively, to deal with it positively. And another positive thought could be, we can source information and we will be able to manage it to the best of our ability. Staying informed and positive will help me to support myself and others. And there's no doubt that during this last year, being able to share realistic, you know, helpful news with others would be a real plus, as so much false news and false information was you know tearing around the through people's different messages and social media. I think it was an extremely important thing for everyone to be kind of alert and aware and think, now, is this, is this going to be helpful? Is this helpful for me to forward to other people? Or shall I leave it? Is it just going to induce panic? And then there are very simple positive thoughts, like I can, very practical ones. I can protect myself and others. So the first thing we all know is by social distancing or distancing ourselves from other people. So physical distancing, as I heard someone say, and wearing a mask, we will actually be able to protect ourselves just by taking those simple measures. So these are the kinds of positive thoughts to deal with a negative situation or a situation that's a challenge. So you can see they're kind of very, they're not kind of euphoric. They are just realistic and they are positive. They are saying, I can cope. And then there's another level of being realistic, and that is being uplifted. So what was the, if you like, the unexpected advantage in all this lockdown? It was an opportunity to catch up with friends, calling them, making video calls, maybe meeting people you haven't met with for a long time. It was an opportunity to do things differently as well. There would have been different opportunities for different people. And I think definitely it was about adjusting to new ways of doing things. And actually, if we reassure ourselves, then these positive thoughts are going to help us to move on from where we are at. So if we now move on to the next slide, this is the point that I think really affects most of us, and that is positive thought can be based on a positive attitude. And as I've said earlier, every challenge or situation brings an opportunity for learning. I myself found that a very positive way of dealing with very difficult times, perhaps when things are confusing, you're not sure what's happening, just being aware there's an opportunity for learning. And going a little bit deeper into this, on a spiritual level or on a kind of reflective level, looking for my strengths. Is this an opportunity for me to grow spiritually? Is this an opportunity for me to use different qualities, character strengths that I wouldn't normally look at? So to be silent more, or to perhaps reach out to people more, to give. Is this an opportunity for me to look after my health? Is this an opportunity for me to learn something new, like dance, language, art, degrees, drumming, anything? I think the key thing is to make things fun, to choose things you'd like to do. But then in terms of your mental well-being, it's really important to tune into your own positive qualities. And I find, and I think many people who meditate will say that when we go into that silence, that peaceful space, we're able to connect with more positivity and therefore see our inner strengths. When we're not focusing on our inner strengths, we may be focusing on things that bring us down instead. So lots of ways to be positive, but mostly, in summary, be creative, say things to yourself that you wouldn't normally, like, for example, I like change, or I enjoy challenges, they make me feel alive. This is a chance for me to do things I usually do not give myself time for. This is an opportunity for spiritual growth. So those are the thoughts I'm going to leave you with, as I think each one of those thoughts can help us to choose how we're going to think in a more positive way before we go into action. Thank you very much. Thank you. So now I'm going to invite the rest of the team to come and join me. And perhaps we can just have a little bit of reflection on what we have done together over the series of 4 sessions on embracing isolation and hear thoughts from our team. And if people want to, people who have been following us want to share any thoughts they have, anything they have experienced or anything that they are struck by, please do. Please put it in the chat. Thank you. Okay, so I'm joined by the team.
So I wanted to share that it's been a great fortune to actually be part of this group. We've actually been working on this since last summer, since June actually last year. And it's come to its fruition and it's been successful. It's been beautiful from that point of view. But I think there has been a lot of opportunities, as Carla was saying just now, and opportunities for self-growth and for actually understanding a little bit more about myself. And obviously it has also given us an opportunity to actually create community and get to know others much better than I would have done otherwise. And it's been actually a very positive experience, I must say. One that possibly if there hadn't been COVID, I could not have joined, because I'm in Scotland and I wouldn't have been able to come for regular meetings and planning meetings in London. That would not have been possible. So there's always opportunity and challenges. There's always something to be taken about. So it leaves me with a very positive and very encouraging sort of note. Thank you.
Thank you, Astrid. I'm going to follow up by saying how much I've enjoyed thinking about this topic of loneliness with and isolation with all of you and with Rena and Deirdre. And really, when I think about my own thoughts at the beginning of lockdown, I really felt that there were psychological causes for feeling lonely, but now I feel a bit more enlightened. I feel that, you know, social connection is so important and what we do with it is so important. But also I've learned a lot more about the psychology of loneliness as well. And I know from a dynamic point of view, it's about being friends with yourself, you know, which is something we talk about a lot when we share meditation, is be kind to yourself, be friends with yourself. But also it's been really helpful to realize that sometimes people are just stuck in patterns of thinking or patterns of relating. Maybe they have expectations that are not being met. And as somebody said earlier, it's really about engaging and changing. Perhaps if my expectations are exceeded, I just feel so much happier. So it's really about creating those opportunities, and I've really enjoyed having all of you join me, you know, one by one. We started with Mina in April when we started talking about this topic, and I've really enjoyed having all your company and your thoughts. Thank you.
Well, I've got my, yeah, I'm okay. I have to be honest and say that before this session started, I was beginning to feel very lonely and quite isolated because I mentioned in my talk at the beginning, being retired, living on my own, and a lot of my voluntary groups, which I was part of, closed down because of COVID. So when this opportunity came along, I thought, yeah, let's roll our sleeves up, get on with it, and try and think about ways of helping. And of course, in doing that, that really helped me. I want to say thank you to everybody. Also, the thing that I've learned most from this kind of experience is that technology doesn't have to be scary. I've learned about Zoom and about all these other kinds of things, which has expanded lots of other things I can do. So I suppose to sum it up in a nutshell, an idea, because Carla rang me and said, I've got this idea about doing something about loneliness and isolation. From one idea, a positive idea, let's do something positive about this, can be all these other wonderful, like onion rings, you know, lots of other things can develop from that, and to enjoy the experience, the unrolling or the unraveling of whatever it is that you're getting involved in, and just go with the flow. And it's been great. So thank you very much. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot from all the different disciplines, the psychiatry, the psychology, the qigong, you know, everything. So all of those things have been an input for me to learn from. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kala, for letting me contribute in this series. It's been really very touching and very meaningful to me to connect with the whole community. And as I've said, if you let me contribute, I get such a lot out of it. And I have really got a lot out of it. This last few months have been quite challenging months for me. I've made a very life-changing decisions and I've changed my way of living in this last few months. And this community has helped me do that. And they have seen me from a very stiff-lipped girl to really a childlike person. And I really enjoyed that. And I've enjoyed the childlike energy from Maggie and from Sharon. Sharon's moments have been amazing. It's been so beautiful to be part of this whole community. So thank you once again. Thank you to each and every participant for letting us contribute and being the whole part of the whole series. So thank you.
Thank you. Just to say thank you to everybody. It came at a time when I could have felt lonely because when we all came together, none of us knew each other. I'd just lost my mother. And so I guess it wasn't a coincidence. I believe that it was meant to be, I guess. We were all, I think, purpose driven. We all had a vision and a mission, and we shared similar values. So it was a collective energy forming a beautiful synergy. And I'd like to thank everybody, the team, the techie team as well in the background, and also you, the viewers who've made this possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon, for sharing that and actually summarizing that really well. That synergy was quite palpable, isn't it? And I really felt very connected with this group. And I think there were quite a few challenges, and I'm just kind of thinking when I've replayed back some of the previous sessions, I just felt like, oh wow, that was interesting. It did pass me by at that time. So I would definitely urge everybody who is listening, go back and listen to all the 4 webinars, and maybe it might feel different, isn't it? Because we try to do it once a month. I also want to thank Deidre and Rina, who couldn't be here today. And I think Deidre, when she shared her journey about illness and about recovering from illness, I thought it was so powerful, and she kind of created a healing space just through that reflection, and where she said about self-compassion and finding a place and you know, within yourself and just accepting it, and that whole aspect about accepting the fact that, you know, we could be sometimes trapped in things like illnesses, and looking, and I really found it inspiring when she said, look at it as a gift of time. And I thought that really says something about this whole year. It's a gift of time to focus our energy on different things that we probably wanted to, and we was not, so for some reason or the other, not able to focus because we were distracted. The other person I definitely want to thank again, because Rina is not here. Rina did talk about, from positive psychology, she talked about gratitude, and you know, said about us, we need to keep a diary, we need to write a thank you letter, and, you know, expressive writing. So that was all really nice tips and very practical. What I quite liked was, I think towards the end, she did talk about character strengths and, you know, how we kind of look at character strengths. But she said about keep a to-be list along with a to-do list. And I thought that was really good. And I've been trying to say, if I have got a to-do list, I also want to see what's the quality I want to have to be able to do, because we're always sometimes just doing. And this is a time to be with ourselves and with our higher purpose. So thank you so much for giving that time, all of you, and really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Great. So thank you. I think it just leaves for all of us. I want to thank the audience also, and all of you again. And just to say that the team has been thinking about doing a workshop, perhaps, you know, de-stress with collage or something like this. So watch this space. We may let you know about our next event in due course. Also, just to remind you that all of these events are available on the Janki Foundation website. So there are 3 previous videos with lots of ideas and sharings. And when you go on the Janki Foundation website, you'll also be able to look at some of our past events. Some of them you might find relevant to this topic. So we have, for example, an overview of the evidence on meditation, and how it helps with mental health, with psychology, the evidence for yoga, and various other topics, including shining light on death and bereavement, which you may find useful and helpful. I'd also like to say to everyone that the Janki Foundation has developed a couple of tools in recent times. The latest is a book called Stillness in the Storm, and that features the spiritual tools, which have been a feature of and a focus of many of our publications, starting with Values in Healthcare in 2004. So Stillness in the Storm is about overcoming fear using spiritual tools. And also a hugely innovative project has been the Happydote app. I was going to call it Appydote. So the Happydote app is all about finding an antidote to difficult situations faced by health professionals, whether it's burnout, feeling stressed, feeling overwhelmed by the chaos, by pressure, or feeling bullied. There are lots of different themes, including core meditations and meditations to help you get out of any difficult spaces you may find yourself in. So I do recommend that you have a look through the Janki Foundation website, browse. There are tools on there for different kinds of topics, and also we have a list of our go-to help organizations if somebody you know is particularly feeling isolated or lonely. We really hope that you found something to help you or to help other people with those kinds of feelings of loneliness and health. I want to also, before we go, acknowledge the president of the Janki Foundation, Daddy Janki. And this month marks the very first anniversary of her passing on. So Daddy Janki left her body in March 2020 in India. It was at the more or less during lockdown, the beginning of the first lockdown, and she was aged 104. She was the inspiration for us being able to have a foundation for sharing spiritual tools and solutions to healthcare professionals, to carers, to those going through illness or difficult times. And it is because of her inspiration that many of our projects have taken birth and flourished. And you can again find out a little bit about her. I think many of you know her. But she was a source of inspiration, courage, strength, and positivity for many people all over the world. And she was aged 104, and she was, till the last minute, really supporting and helping others. So thank you to Daddy Janki. And we will be also launching the the Stillness and the Storm publication this month, so in a few days. And now finally, I think I would like to finish with a bit of visualization. And I would like to suggest that we all sit quietly and just follow along with a visual meditation. These are both tools for helping us to access our spiritual strengths. So can I ask everyone now, just sitting quietly wherever you are, sit comfortably with your feet on the floor and your hands in your lap, and allow your gaze to rest somewhere in front of you, on the floor or on a wall. And as you gaze there, just breathe and focus on breathing out and relaxing your whole being. Tune into your inner strength, and as you tune in, imagine you're going into inner silence and your inner positive space. As you go in, focus on the image of calm and peace that comes in front of you. It may be a different image for different people. It may, for example, be a sunrise or a sunset. It may be looking over a calm ocean of water. Just imagine you are standing there for a moment, becoming very calm, very peaceful, and very connected to your inner being. It is from this place of your inner positivity that it's easy for you to let go, for you to finish anything, for you to move away from things that are difficult and move into your strengths and your positive being. It is your positive being and your strengths that allow you to make things good, make things positive, to act, to give, to share. It is by tuning into that inner space of peace and silence that we are inspired, that we're inspired to do our next project, our next positive act. Please do remind yourself of all your core strengths, all your character strengths and qualities that have seen you throughout time, and connect with those. And to keep that positivity alive. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, and Om Shanti.